What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Side Hustle Experiment podcast. Today we have Casey on. He owns Divine, a Discord community, top selling Discord community on WAP. And we're excited to talk everything reselling with him, Twitter beefs, all that good stuff. So, what's going on, man?
Dude, I'm doing well. Appreciate the intro. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, man. So give us a little bit of a background intro and for transparency for people. The reason I had him on is because I asked on Twitter what the best reselling group was. His cult all told me that it was Divine, and I thought, no way it's that good. I joined. Dude, it's pretty damn good. So I was like, all right, we got to get this guy on because back in the day when I was in Discord groups, it was 10 channels and decent. But this thing is like a full company. Like this isn't a Discord group. It's a company. Yeah, there's a big difference between that type of thing. Right.
Yeah, dude, it used to be like Discords you join, there was like one owner, maybe a chat mod or two, and we have 9 full-time employees. Like their job, if you include myself and between owners and employees, there's 9 of us who this is their full-time job, and full-time is a lot more than 40 hours a week. So it's an insane operation in the best way. There's a ton going on. It's pretty overwhelming is the most common piece of negative feedback we get is just there's so much going on, but if you know how to navigate it, there's a lot happening in there.
Yep. So give us a little intro. How'd you get there and like how'd you start in this whole space?
Yeah, man. I mean, like I used to be a full-time reseller. I got my start even in reselling back when I was a teenager. I'm from farm country in upstate New York. School was probably about 40 minutes away from home. School let out at 3:30. Basketball practice would be at 8. And my mom said, ain't no way I'm driving back and forth, to pick you up just to drive you back again. Go find something to do. So I would do my homework and then I would just go to every Goodwill, every Salvation Army in the area, just try to find, designer clothes that I can buy for, white tag, buy it for $1, buy it for $5, sell it on eBay for $20, $25. And if I made $1,000 in a month as a 10th or 11th grader, like that's pretty solid on the side just for having to kill time during school. And then discovered Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, realized I could do this with some more expensive stuff. I started flipping a ton of guitars and like music equipment, found collectibles, and just learned how to find flips online. And then I got introduced to the sneaker world in college when I didn't have to find stuff in person anymore. Like I didn't know it was called retail arbitrage at the time, in thrift stores. Now I can just buy something online and sell it for a profit online. So I got into flipping sneakers a lot, still ran up the Facebook game, got into more electronics. Then it was all just a means to an end. If I could make extra grand, maybe a really good month would be 2.5, 3 grand when I was like 19 or something like that. Then I graduated college at 21, got a job, and by 10 a.m. the first day I realized I hated it. I need to get out of here. So then I kind of just dove deeper. I discovered I got connected with Joseph Oliver and Joe Hart from Products for Profit was the name of a community back then. They were the OGs. I started consuming a ton of reselling content, and then it got to a point where I was able to quit my job from reselling, just flipping a ton of stuff. This is back in 2021, I want to say, kind of, the golden years of reselling to an extent, or at least in certain verticals with supply chain shortages. You could just flip anything at the time. But then around that time, everyone was talking Amazon, and I'd scaled on eBay. I didn't get on Amazon for a little bit. I'd been selling on eBay for almost a decade now. And then so I started a community and started creating an audience on Twitter, just talking about eBay flipping because everyone was talking about Amazon. And half the questions were, how do I get ungated in this? Where can I get an invoice? I'm like, you guys know that's not a thing on eBay, right? Like you more or less just buy stuff and sell it on eBay. Like that just is what it is. Like no approvals, they're not holding your money, you get paid out. Like I'm not saying same day, but it's not like there's all these reserves and everything. Like eBay is so much easier. And so I kind of started a community scaling up, teaching people how to flip stuff on eBay. And that was in 2021. And just over the years it scaled. Obviously we have a ton of Amazon stuff. In the pipeline there, and that has scaled from just me telling people what sneaker drops were hot and when PlayStation 5s restocked into several thousand people in a paid community. Flipping stuff on eBay, flipping sneakers, doing stuff on Amazon, just anything and everything that there is in terms of the arbitrage world. Like we have it covered. We have staff to help you do it, and just crazy that scaled into this because 3 years ago I was just a kid with an email newsletter telling people what sneakers were going to resell for a profit the next day. Never even heard of Discord at that point, and now it is what it is.
So when was the pivot? Like when did you realize, oh shit, this info stuff is like a huge deal. I can get rich off info and stuff like that.
Yeah, probably maybe like 2 years or so ago was when I realized just, oh wow, like there is a lot of, both money to be made on my end as like an owner in this space as well as for other people in this space. Cause it had always been very much, and this is still is what Amazon is. Like we're super transparent about this in the Amazon sections of Divine, of like, hey, like if there's a lead posted here to sell on Amazon and you can source it, like there's a bunch of eyes on this. Like this is like an example of a lead. Don't like flip this. That's not exactly what it was for my style. And so I think I realized like I came up, if you will, in the Amazon reselling group space. And that's largely informational. It's largely here's how to do stuff. And then I was one of the, I don't want to say first ones to do it, but at least like I was one of the first ones I knew of to do it. It was only later I discovered other people knew this model of the like, hey, PlayStations are dropping. Hey, these sneakers are dropping. Hey, XYZ is dropping. And there's not really there's so much demand that competition isn't really a factor. Like these PlayStations are going to sell out no matter what. 2021, these GPUs are going to sell out no matter what. And you'll be able to flip them for a profit. And so it was when I realized that a lot of the people I knew who had communities that like they probably weren't scalable because they were largely Amazon focused. And a lot of it's like do your own research, find your own stuff. And I was the one who had the business model that was scalable. We could have 10,000 people in here and like price tanking still isn't like a huge concern simply due to the nature of our reselling. And now granted, that was the thought process back then. As it's grown and we've added more stuff, that's true in some verticals and not true in others. Like we got into Amazon a lot more. Once again, super clear. Like, hey, these will tank these leads that we're sending. Here's like the leads analysis. Here's how we found it. Here's how you analyze the keep a graph. Here's how to think about it. Don't flip this though. This is just like, here's how to research. Those are still prone to other stuff, but like a sneaker drops, we're not going to tank the market on those. Those are like 10,000 available and 500,000 people want to buy them, like a Travis Scott drop. Cool. This is a scalable model. And a lot of the people I knew who had communities didn't have scalable models. And I think that switch got flipped maybe 2 years ago.
Yep, 100%. I noticed that when I got in there too. It's like, because I didn't want to get in for the Amazon. Obviously, I quit Amazon, but I'm like, I'm already getting my eBay up and running. But like, is this more saturated now? And then I would see it's like, wait, it's still the same way. Like the top 10% of people, if top 10%, maybe 5% of people are even fast enough to get stuff. Like I got a PlayStation digital one last week, like first 3 days in there. And I'm like, well, tons of people didn't even get that. Like they're not fast enough or they don't know how to operate it. So it's like less competition. Although when you join the group and there's like however many thousand people, you're like, how am I even supposed to get anything? But your own competitive instincts kind of kick in. I guess that's what makes it scalable is like it rises to the top, doesn't get saturated, right?
Exactly. And yeah, we get a lot of people who like join and cancel immediately because they're like, oh, there's too many people here. I'm not going to make any money. I'm like, do you even try? Like, you know, it's going like, that's another thing a lot of people think, especially if they're from other groups, they think that this is like a mastermind or a course. So like a lot of the heat I get on Twitter is a lot of it is like, I'm super transparent that this is my biggest focus, the Discord space. And they're like, how is this person who's not as active in the reselling world supposed to like help you? It's like, we have like 100 staff, 9 full-time people, and like all this other stuff going on. Like this isn't just a group chat where I'm dropping thoughts and you're supposed to like learn from my brain. Like we've developed a ton of like custom software and stuff like auto checkout bots. You know, we have the monitors. We've developed a ton of software inside of the community to help even with people concerned like I'm never going to be able to get the stuff that you guys post because there's too many people in here. We have a ton of software in there that people have developed. But yeah, most people who are concerned about saturation aren't the ones who've like given it a go and experienced it. They're normally the ones who are coming, especially from the Amazon world, and just their brain doesn't work in the vein that we operate in. And so they just think there's too many people in here. This is going to get saturated. This isn't going to work. But if you actually see how mechanically it operates, that's rarely the case.
Yep.
Why do you think you get so much heat on Twitter? Twitter is so different from when we first started. But now it's like, I don't even know how to explain it now, but back in the day, it was everyone was friendly. Now it's, I don't know what it is.
Yeah. I don't think I do compared to a lot of people, frankly. Like I definitely do get heat, but compared to others in the space, some of which I think is justified, some of which I think is completely unjustified. I don't think that I'm by far anywhere near the worst of it. I think the biggest one that it's a cause of, like I said, is just it's the thing that I'm usually pretty like I have a pinned tweet where I say as much where it's like, yeah, the Discord is a way bigger focus of my time than my own personal reselling. There's way more opportunity here, A, to make a meaningful impact, B, of course, to make money for myself and like the team and things like that. But I think if there was like a resounding comment, it was, whether like call it a fraud because like you make more money selling course than you do reselling or anything like that. It's like, yeah, it's a way better, bigger market to be in. And even before I had the Discord, I would tweet this the whole time, which is like, I think reselling is truly one of, if not the best side hustles ever. I think it's awesome, low barrier to entry, have a couple $100, you can get into it. I'm super transparent that I think reselling is a pretty bad full-time job because if you're good enough at this to like navigate how hard it is to make a full-time living, not just because of the money, because of the cash flow aspect and scale it, you're probably good enough to build another business that's going to make you even more money. Like if you can make 300 grand a year being a reseller, you could probably make 600 grand a year doing something else. Like it takes skills to get to that point. And that's what I did. Like I was a full-time reseller for some time. Like that, people don't believe me. It's true. Like I was only reselling for a good amount of time. But then got into the Discord world and I realized like there's a lot more opportunity here to make more money for myself, to make more meaningful impact. But I think a lot of people either aren't willing to see past that, or B, don't even understand what it is I do. They think that I'm selling some course or some coaching, and they're like, this dude, like, how is he supposed to tell you? And I'm like, it's not just me dropping my thoughts in here. Like, I could kind of leave the Discord right now and everybody's experience would be the exact same. And I think a lot of people just don't realize that. It's not like I'm selling coaching or courses and I'm like someone who doesn't do the thing. Like I still do resell to an extent, but even still, like you're not joining for me, you're joining for a product that kind of has nothing to do with me. And I think just a lot of people, a lot of the haters don't understand that and also don't want to understand that.
Yeah, that's from my understanding. It's like very small minded to think that like you have to be, I don't know, that you have to be like in the trenches when it's like, dude, you're trying to build a company. Like, and you can't sell that company if you're the one doing all the shit, right? Like, you need to be the kind of the marketing face. But like you said, I don't even think I've ever seen you even message in there. And I've been there, a week. It's like the less involved you are, the more of a company it is. Like, there's staff nonstop messaging. Like, there's all these things. So it's just like kind of small minded of like, why isn't he hustling like us, bro? Yeah, I don't know why you're hustling like that. Which I realized that a long time into. But after you say you don't get that much hate, yeah, if your hate to success ratio is probably pretty good compared to most people. Most people have less success and get more hate, so not too bad overall.
Yeah, that's the nice thing too with like having done what we've done at scale. Like there's two things, which are whenever I get hate, like there's just a flood of comments that are like, this dude makes me money every month. So it's like, cool. Like you can't really argue with, like, if somebody's like, this guy's a fraud, like he's trying to scam you. And then you have 10 people being like, I pay him every month. Like it's clutch. Like, cool. None of the hate's from members. The other thing, which is nice running a low ticket community, it's a little bit harder to do this at scale. Although, like, I'll drop names. Like Miles and Warner probably get a lot more hate than I do, and they have so much social proof. They've helped so many people that it's like when anyone comes at them, there's a flow of comments the same way, saying like, these guys changed my life, like in a great way. We have over 2,600 5-star reviews on WAP, which is where we host. Like, it's just, it can roll off your back really easily when like there's one person or 5 people who drop like a thread trying to like expose you or be like, this guy's like fake. It's like, I have 2,600 people who went out of their way to say like, I make money here. So it's like, you kind of have to be a little dumb, unless you're going to accuse me of faking those reviews, which obviously I don't. Like, you have to be a little dumb to think like 2,600 people bothered to write a review and this is still some scam.
Or just like, I mean, that showed it to me. Like, as soon as I tweeted that, all those people, I'm like, well, they're not paid. They didn't even tell me an affiliate link. Like, the people are just saying that. So I'm like, this is obviously, because I know how much it takes for somebody to have your back too. Like, if they're going to publicly put their name out there, then, that's probably a pretty good sign. So, yeah, it's good. It's sick, dude, what you built there. What do you think it's going to be in the future? You got any big goals for it, or is it a cash flow play or exit play?
Yeah, no, it's definitely like we want to continue to keep taking over. Like transparently, we've gotten, I say I have partners in this. We've gotten several multi 7-figure offers for Divine, and we're not leaving. We're not leaving, bro. Like we think that we can continue to make more of an impact. Like I said, like it is cool that I just like get to wake up and do this every day. Like I'm not saying I would do this for free, but I would do it for a whole lot less. Like the fact that I can wake up and see in some channel, it's like, we had somebody post the other day that was like, our house was in foreclosure and then I joined Divine and in 3 months we were able to like get it out or whatever, like stuff like that. It's like, what other job am I going to have where I get to do that? And so that's super cool. But yeah, I just think we can there's still so much space here. Like despite all the talks of saturation and Amazon cracking down, that's another thing that I think a lot of people don't realize is that like Amazon's a pretty small fraction of everything that we do here. And we think that like potentially the more Amazon cracks down and makes it harder to sell on there, the more opportunity we have to grow, because so many people, even like, once again, to reference the whole like haters thing, there's nobody from like the eBay world that's like a hater. It's like Amazon got tougher and then the people who used to be good at it just kind of got annoyed and just started like, complaining online the same way sneakers did back in like 2018. And so we think that there's just infinite opportunity. We're already moving more into like TikTok shop and things like that. Excuse me. So I think that's going to be like the next big opportunity if we were to talk like expanding into a new vertical is TikTok shop and TikTok affiliate, whether that's private label brands, which we already have, people helping with, and then moving to TikTok affiliate as well. We don't just see ourselves as a reselling community. We want to be the only server you need to make money online effectively is what we say. And so we've acquired sports betting groups, we've acquired an investing and trading group. The goal is to, and this is part of the reason we haven't like tried to like hyper growth it either, is because we want our reputation to keep up with our growth, is almost be a, I don't want to say more honest version, but at least a better perceived version of almost like a Hustlers University or something like that, where it's not just reselling. It is, hey, I am, our demographic is largely men, probably between ages of like 18 to 35. It's like, cool, I am a college student, I'm at a job I don't love, I want to like get my life right, I want to like specifically get my money right. I'm not here to teach you how to date or whatever, but like I want to get my money right, and I can join this Discord and I can like learn how to make an extra $500, extra $1,000, extra $2,000, and hopefully more on the side, just being a part of this server. And I don't need to join if you take WAP, for example, just because they're the largest marketplace for communities, I don't need to join a reselling group, a sports betting group, a trading group. Like I have everything I need to make money in no matter what vertical I'm interested in, all in one community. And it's not just some bundled mess. It's every single thing by itself is still truly top tier, top of its class. And it's the only online community I need for making money. That's the goal for Divine in the future.
Yeah, and if you accomplish that, then it's like way more than 7 figures. You're looking at like a 8, 9-figure thing. Because I was literally about to say kind of like Tate stuff. Yeah, I mean that's whoever can really crack that, and like because Tate obviously half the people that watch that stuff are never going to join that group because there's just a negative connotation. So if you try not to associate yourself with like a super negative thing, that'll help for sure. So how do you market this stuff aside from just you? Are you the sole marketing driver?
Far from it, actually. I am the biggest personal brand at the moment, I think, behind Divine, but I'm far from the biggest marketing angle. Everything else, for the most part, is on social media pages we have, but a lot of them are branded. My partners now are growing their personal pages as well. I'm just the only one on Twitter. So like Instagram and TikTok, Facebook, but between all of the accounts that we have for our brands, we have somewhere between 500,000 and 1 million followers on Instagram. Same thing on TikTok. And they're just like branded, whether it's Divine, whether it's like a Shafts, Resell University, they're all like branded or theme pages associated with us. And now my partners as well are kind of growing on Instagram. I think, Twitter, I might have like 30K and I'm the only one on Twitter, but one of our partners has over 40,000 followers on Instagram. I might have like 15,000. We're all marketing, pretty heavily across the board. I'm just kind of the only one on Twitter. But I'm far from the biggest marketing driver behind Divine. If anything, I'd say I'm out of the 2 other owners, I'm kind of the worst at bringing in eyeballs. I operate a little bit more on the like conversion side of things. Like once we get eyeballs into our funnel, I'm pretty good at turning them into members just by highlighting the value and everything that we're doing. I'm the one who might stir the pot the most because I'm the only one who has my name behind it. So like, I'm not sure if you guys have seen, like most people block, once again, I'll use Twitter. Like most people block haters on Twitter. I kind of purposely egg them on because it's fun. And so that obviously does get eyeballs. I might be the one who just gets a little bit more eyeballs in a controversial way because of that. Obviously, no, never saying anything too out of pocket, but if somebody says something, I don't mind toying with them a little bit, and so that gets engagement. But yeah, far from the biggest driver, and a lot of people don't realize how big we are, both in terms of how many members are in there, I guess how much it might bring in, even though a lot of people think it brings in way more than it does. But yeah, between all of our social media channels, if you combine Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, probably at least 2 million followers across the board, and a lot of people didn't realize that.
Yeah, that was what I initially saw. When I joined and I saw many people were in your Twitter, I'm like, this makes 0 sense. Like, how is his conversion rate on his Twitter like 20%? But it makes more sense now. So you're running like these, is it like motivation theme pages and stuff like that?
No, so when I say theme pages, I don't mean like hustle, like things like that.
Yeah.
Like I meant like branded pages. So we have a Divine page, which is, and a Resell University page, which are just different angles on like reselling content, but they're specifically branded to the account. Like it's very clear that this is a group or community behind it. AK Shafts is the same idea. It's just sneakers related. We are looking at getting into that more like theme page side of things. So it's maybe a little bit less clear that this is even like a brand or there's an offer there.
Yep.
But for right now, it's just those 3 accounts are the main ones. And it's
did you
just
buy
like our
those?
brand.
Buy those or did you grow them?
All grown organically.
Damn.
Wow.
That's awesome. I followed Resell University forever. I had no clue that was like your old stuff. Like, I guess.
Yeah, so that was one of our partners. His name's Eric. He's absolutely like blown it up. So they were, or sorry, maybe I should clarify that point. We didn't buy the Instagram accounts in the sense of like they were all growing from the page up, but like AK Chefs and Reselling University were at one point competitors, and we either merged with them or acquired them or things like that. So like the followers and the following those were all built organically, but some of those pages, the actual companies we did acquire.
So how's that work? How did the merger, the acquire, like work, that type of thing?
Yeah, so in this space, it's sort of like anything where a community is still a business. It's an asset. It can be, bought, sold, things like that. And so we just try to look for, and we don't do it all the time. Those are kind of the two biggest ones that we've done this with, even though we have had other acquisitions in the past. Where is it that we are weak in terms of delivering value to members and things that they care about? So the first big one we did was AK Chefs. It was one of, if not the original sneaker flipping Discord on the internet. Like, what's cool is even though like we might have a bigger following now, Divine acquired them. Like, more people are probably aware of AK Chefs because of the impact it had in the sneaker world than they are of Divine. And we weren't super on point for sneaker flipping at one point in terms of it was something that we had like categories for in a Discord, but now as a result of this, we have an entire separate server. It's included in your membership with Divine. Literally the most cracked OP. Like if you can't make money flipping sneakers in there, you're not going to make it anywhere. They were undisputedly the best on the market. And if somebody wanted to make money flipping sneakers, there was no reason for them to join Divine. Like it wouldn't have made sense compared to them as a competitor. They were just so much better than us at this thing that we weren't as good at. Thankfully, I'd say we were better at a lot of things that they were doing that um, than they were. And it just made perfect sense. We reached out to the owner. His name was Ari. He's an OG in the space. Everybody knows him. And then it was just a matter of kind of finding a deal that made sense, financially for everybody involved. But I think the biggest thing is what a lot of people think we're doing is just trying to like buy the cash flow of all these competitors. We've had people approach us to buy them out and we didn't do it, even though it was attractive multiples because like at the end of the day, it's still an online community. And we're not here just to like buy cash flow and then just dump members in and nuke it because like part of community is the people in there. And there are, just frankly speaking, in the Discord world, especially the reseller world, just
If you want the exact spreadsheet I have used to sell over $3 million on Amazon, how I track my buys, how I track my best sources, where I put links to my favorite sites, I have a spreadsheet that I've spent the last 2-3 years building. If you want access to it, it is absolutely free. Just go to the free resources section down below this video. 100% free. Now let's get back to the podcast.
a lot of jerks. I don't know how we're censoring on this podcast. There's a lot of members that we don't want in Divine. And so the big thing is like, A, the culture fit between the communities, and then B, the big asset, and like, hey, hopefully not a ton of other group owners watch this. The big asset when you buy a community isn't the members. It's not the money they bring in. It's the talent, because this is such a weird, niched down industry. It's really tough for me to post a job on LinkedIn or Indeed and get like somebody who's going to crush in here. Like this is an e-commerce reselling Discord. The industry alone is 10 years old max. Like who's actually really good at this? Probably only other people who actually own or ran their own Discords. And so the best way to hire those people is to acquire them. We've never acquired somebody at scale and not put them on salary to continue to be in there. We're not just here to buy you and then kick you out. Like the founder of AK Chefs is still a very active participant in Divine, as was almost all of his staff. Same thing with Resell University. Very active, as is almost all of the staff. Like it's a pure talent play because most of these communities that were started back in the late teens, early 2000s, or early 2020s rather, we're just like someone like me, like just some kid or somebody who made money reselling and was like, I should make a Discord off this. And you can only get so far being just you. And it's really tough to grow it outside of just you, because who are you going to bring on? Either people who came up in the community or your friends who might know about reselling, but they don't actually know about communities. But somebody else has built something to 100K plus per month in monthly recurring revenue. That's who you want to hire, and you can't pay them enough to hire them. You have to basically just acquire them and then put them on salary, put them on some sort of arrangement that makes sense for everybody. And that's how you get the best talent in this space. And that's how you grow to that's how you just take over the scene. That's how you become meaningfully better, is by having the best people on your team. And for us, we realized like the only way for us to actually have a ton of A players is to start acquiring the A players, because you can't, like, the people who are the A players are the ones who have already done the things that we've done as well.
Yeah, that's a great explanation of that. Got any questions, John?
Yeah, that's really crazy model. And it's what made you, I guess, a lot of people do have reselling Discords in the space, and they're either free or they're paid or whatever, but they never really kind of blow up. And when you were just talking about how it makes so much sense how to like acquire talent because yeah, you just can't put this on LinkedIn. What made you kind of want to almost acquire versus build yourself and kind of build your own team?
Yeah, I mean, I did launch it was just me for a while in a group originally called Kickflips. It was like largely sneaker flipping, PS5s, GPUs, things like that. So that was originally like just me. Then originally myself and another guy named Vincent Noah, they were in a group called Divine Resell. We merged. We were like, cool, do we want to create a new name for this? Whatever. We threw a bunch of ideas out. And then ultimately we were just like, Divine, like just drop the resell. Let's just go with Divine. Like it means so much. It could mean nothing in a way. Like we can eventually expand, and we already have just past reselling. So originally it was just me, then partnered up with the guys I'm partnered with now. And then as we started growing, it was just a matter of what made the most, like how much money and time were we going to have to invest into being as, AK Chefs is one of the first examples. Like if we wanted to be as good as sneakers at them, how much money and time would it invest? And like, could we even do that? Like at a certain point, these guys are just better than us at this thing. In the same way, like I think it'd be fair to say we were just better than them at other stuff. It just made more sense to do an acquisition than it made sense to try to build it ourselves because they're twofold. It's not just a matter of whose product is better, but whose is perceived or marketed is better as well. If we were just as good as them, that's not to say that like people would now equally join us as them or their members would join us or things like that. There's still the big element of like making it known that we are better, making it proven, perception, things like that. And so there were just a lot of instances where an acquisition does make sense. There's all like I'll be transparent. There's maybe some names in the space that you might be aware of in the TikTok game who I've had conversations about acquiring. We started talking numbers. We got pretty down the road actually about acquiring the TikTok related communities of some people on Twitter and Instagram are far larger than myself. And we went to the drawing board and weighed the pros and cons, and we decided this is what we're just gonna roll this out ourselves because it makes more sense in the space right now for us to do that. But it all comes down to just risk reward, timing, things like that. Like when and where does it make sense for us to build this ourselves and then subsequently have to market it ourselves? It's a big lie that great products sell themselves versus acquire them. And so just a calculus we run each time. It's a different answer each time. Depends who it is, depends what the numbers are, depends what the goal is. But sometimes it just makes sense to build it yourself. Sometimes it makes sense to partner up with people or to acquire them. But in the past instances, it's made sense to acquire until it hasn't, which, like I said, TikTok is one such example.
So what do you think is the biggest thing that kills these groups? Like, what's your fear of like, we cannot do this or this bad stuff? Dude, I bet the failure rate in those groups are like 99%. Like everyone quits or fails at their group. What's the biggest thing that you see that happens? And what are you scared? Like, we can't do this or this is going to happen to us too.
Gotcha. Now you're specifically talking about failure as a group owner. You're not saying like someone joins a group and they don't succeed. You're talking about actually like running the group.
We'll get into the
Gotcha.
member stuff later. Yeah. Owner.
Yeah, for sure. So I mean, like the big thing over a longer time horizon is just not adapting. There were some groups that were absolutely massive back in 2019, 2020, 2021 that were largely sneaker focused, PlayStation 5 focused, GPU focused, like easy money stuff. Like, hey, sick, these hit our restock monitors. Everybody bots the drop. They make $3,000. Awesome. Cool. That's not what it is anymore. There still are elements of that. Obviously, PS5 Pros just dropped. You're making a bag off those, but it's a lot more spread out now. Like you kind of have to be in the know for a lot of drops instead of just hawk restock monitors for the same 5 hot products. A lot of groups just never adapted past that, and so like they fell off. There were groups like it's almost crazy now to think, but like we've acquired some groups that like were unfathomably large to me when I started. And then there's other groups right now that like I came up in or I was familiar with who I thought were massive. And it's like, I'm literally 10x bigger than some of these groups that I thought were like crushing it back in 2020 and 2021. And it's just because the market changes so much in the resale world and in the online community world. And I think that people just kind of get complacent. They hit their wins. And so if the goal is to just continue to grow the community, I think a lot of people don't adapt past that. I think I see a lot of people too who just also maybe like made their bag and left. Like I know a lot of people who blew up communities and it's like, cool, is what it is, was what it was. I want to move on to something else. Nothing wrong with that. But definitely have seen that. But I think that the big thing is either not adapting or, like I said, just like reselling, communities were kind of easy money back in 2020. Like I got started a little too late, honestly. Like things are going fine now, thankfully. But I think there were a lot of people who the game as an owner of a community has also gotten harder as reselling has gotten harder, or at least has gotten different. It's gotten less concentrated. Just like Amazon, just like reselling, like you could just make, like you could make a full-time living flipping only PS5s for like a good 6 to 9 month window back in the day. It's gotten more spread out now, and I think that that's gotten too much for a team of one person to handle as well. And so a lot of the people or teams that I've seen fall off the map, if you will, were a 1 to 3 person team, whereas Divine is 9 full-time people, like I keep saying, literally over 100 independent contractors, if you want to call them that. That's kind of what's needed to succeed nowadays. And you're even going to see, like I said, I keep referencing WAP because they're the largest marketplace for Discords. You're seeing a consolidation in the market. There used to be tons and tons of groups out there, and we're not the only one acquiring groups now. We're not, other groups are kind of just either shutting down or folding or whatever you want to call it. You're seeing a consolidation in the market because that's kind of what it takes to succeed nowadays. This is so much for a single person to ramp past a really like meaningful, like lots and lots of money stage, basically. Like you can still make a good living if you want to just pound 12-hour days and run this mostly yourself with maybe some people under you. But if you want to scale to thousands and thousands of paid members across a bunch of categories, you simply just need a team, and a lot of people don't have that.
Yeah. Well, you're talking about what makes the members fail. I think two of those things are kind of correlated, and I'm surprised you didn't mention this. As soon as I got in your group, the first thing I noticed was that you have something about like hit your first 1K or make money now, and it's funny you didn't mention that. I feel like that's one of the reasons you guys are so big, because I'm like a complete normie now. I literally just joined, like, what's the lowest hanging fruit? I will not work hard. I will not. I'm just like, how easy is this group? And the first thing I see is, how do you make 1K? How to do this? Then I'm like, oh, I can do that. This is like free stuff. Or I go to the food stuff and I get free stuff there. What did you even think about how big that was? Because in my opinion, I think that's a huge driver. Because a lot of groups you join, you're like, what do I even do? Yours is like, do this. This is like what you do to get the dopamine out of your system, because you're gonna not care in an hour, right?
Yeah, that's exactly it. And so like, it's tough. I think that's one issue as an owner, and this is something I think I understand pretty well that a lot of people don't. I try to drill this into the team too, which is like, especially it's the same thing on Twitter and Instagram. Like people don't care. So like when somebody joins Divine, I keep like telling the team, it's like they're not going to read we create some onboarding guide, and it's the same thing. Like I keep telling them, like, imagine you didn't know Divine, like you weren't attached to this and you just joined some sports betting group. Like, are you going to read all this when you join? Are you going to are you just going to pop in, like, I joined here to place bets on NBA. I just joined, terms of service, sure. Where's the NBA channel? That's how people approach us. And so we have to do two things. The one is we have to set this up to an extent for the lowest common denominator. People are joining here, especially because we have a 5-day, it's not a free trial, but you join for like $1. I can get into why we do that actually, because that's kind of interesting. But more or less free trial. It's just $1 for 5 days. And there's in here, it's like, I need to see if this is BS or not, and I have 5 days to figure that out. And so we need to set things up to the lowest common denominator. We need to make it intensely easy for people to make their $70 back in less than those 5 days. We're $70 a month, and that's the way free trials work. Like it or not, people don't join and during a free trial decide like, oh, this seems promising. This is a skill I want to learn. No, it's, do I make the $70? Yes. Okay, I'll probably stay. No, probably won't. Like that's simply how it goes. And so, like you have to assume people are lazy and you have to do the work for them. And so it's as simple as, hey, here's the channel. 1, read this guide. 2, watch this video. 3, claim your roles. 4, here's how you can make $1,000 today in as little effort as possible. That's how we need to set it up, because if people don't get the quick dopamine hits, they're going to churn. And that's how every service or information-based industry is like how once somebody is in, the best way I can reduce quick churn is what is the delta between when they join and when they experience some form of success. And so you need to shorten that time as much as possible. Like ideally, as soon as they sign up, they just get, we have some bot that could do some sort of thing for them where they automatically get some $50 gift card or whatever. Like I would love to set things up so like as soon as they join, they already have some sort of win and they see how it worked and like, hey, go do another one, things like that. And we're actually working, has nothing to do with what I just explained, but like the reduction, if you will, is something that we're working on right now. So as soon as somebody joins, they more or less are experiencing wins. If you're in the community or you're in the info product world, coaching, consulting, like whatever you want, like that was a big problem with Amazon consulting is like the first 3 weeks are just setup, man. And it's like people get burnt out on that. Like they just paid, I don't know if you guys have ever done that before, like other people are charging, $3K plus for consulting and somebody's like, I'm not even making money. I'm still waiting on my verification from Amazon. I'm still getting my LLC set up. It's like, it's not exciting and you have to keep the carrot's right down the road. And like, it's true. Like you can make really good money on Amazon, but a lot of people are just unwilling to deal with a large gap in time between when they sign up for something and when they start experiencing success. And the answer is like kind of manage those expectations and put blinders on people, like let them know, like, here's the road to go on. Like, yes, we have 500 channels in Divine, only care about these ones. But then B, like, how can I reduce that? Because like it or not, like, just people are, lazy, unmotivated, untrusting. Like, at least pick one of those. Half the time it does fit. Like, it's a low commitment thing when you're saying join for $1 for 5 days. People are dipping their toes in the water. They're not committed. And so you need to prove to them this isn't like bullcrap. Like, you are going to join and you're going to succeed if you do these things.
You want to get into the $1 thing. I'm assuming it's because so you don't get Indian people flooding your group from bots overseas and stuff. Is that why?
So not quite. The issue, like I said, is going to be, once again, here's some free sauce for any other group owner who's just hawking, this content or whatever, but we'll put it out there. We were the first. Nobody else does this as I'm aware of. When you have a free trial, there's no commitment. Sign up. Let me see if this is legit or not. Like, okay. There's no incentive for you to stay. And if you charge $1 for them to join, it's still basically free. But psychologically, you've now invested in this. My card has been charged. So we did two things. It's tough to extrapolate which one caused which. We had a 3-day free trial. We then switched that from 3 days to 5 days, and we started charging $1. So now people have to type in their card. It gets charged $1, and we'll give you an extra 2 days for that. Our free trial conversion rate, I won't get into exactly what it is just because I do know competitors watch this. Our free trial conversion rate literally doubled in a month. So if we used to, like, I'm just going to throw this out there, like, let's say for every 10 people who joined, 2 would stay. It was more than that. Now 4 would stay. And it's, thankfully our numbers are higher than that, but literally we did a tweak. We charged $1 up front and we moved it from 3 days to 5 days. Who's to say how much we can attribute to each of those changes? Our free trial conversion rate doubled just because, and we think a big part of it is like, you've been charged. Your card got charged. You're in the group now, figure it out in a way. And so that had a quite literally almost exactly doubled simply by charging $1 and increasing our free trial by 2 days. Just because now there's, once again, psychologically they're bought in. Like, okay, I can just cancel my free trial whenever. You still can. You only got charged $1, but you still got charged. And people feel that. And so that's why we do that.
Yeah, I think if you give somebody money, it's like way more likely you're going to give it to them again rather than like the free trial thing. Yeah, I'm learning a bunch about marketing now. That's like the biggest thing. The lead mag and the free stuff, it sounds amazing. And that's like what everybody that does marketing on YouTube is hawking. But like, that's just not exactly the way it works. Like somebody that pays you $1 is worth like 10 or 20 free people. I'm sure you've experienced that too. It's just the way it works. I don't know why, but yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah.
What are some other things you use, like little psychological things? It sounds like you're into the marketing. You know exactly what you're doing. So what other kind of stuff besides?
There's a bunch of stuff I want to do that like we just haven't been able to as a result of whether it's Discord or other platforms that we work through. I'm kind of working with the developer to see what we can do. Like I have a ton of stuff I want implemented that we right now don't have the systems to do. Yeah, that's like that's one of the bigger like fun little tweaks that we've done that we've seen a big impact for. Some of it I want to work on is sort of gamifying onboarding a little bit more. Like when somebody joins, like we have like point systems, stuff like that, but like I want to create like a progressive reward structure or incentive structure once people join to almost make, especially that 5 days, like a game. And so that's something that I'm working on right now. It's just for a little limited by our systems, but I know what I want it to look like. That's one big thing there, but like I think you can get 80% of the results. Like if somebody wanted to come out and create a Divine like knockoff, cool, just keep showing the results you and your members have and then say like it's almost like a little bit of FOMO marketing, but make it honest. Like I'll say it, we've had members literally Photoshop like fake stuff and like we've like proven it basically. And so it's like, don't lie. Like we've had like people, like there's an extent to which like if you can't replicate the success, we've seen competitors quite literally say like, you could have bought this item for 99 cents and sold it for, $150 on eBay. And then like you look at it and it's like, that's not the font Walmart uses on their website. Like that is like the spacing is off, the font's different. But like if you legitimately are helping people and or you're having your own sales, like it's a pretty simple formula that's like will get you 80% of the way there, which is just highlight this thing that you or somebody in your community made money on, show like how someone else could have found it, and then been like, you could have gotten it here. And if you have some sort of audience, like people are going to check it out. That's kind of how I got my start even way back in the day. It was just like almost every single day you'd see me with 2 to 3 different PlayStation 5s in my trunk. Each one I made $250 profit on. You see that every single day for a week. You're like, screw it, this guy just made $2,500 and he's saying he can help me get PlayStations. Like, I'll see what this is about. Like, that's kind of how I grew. I'd say the space is a little competitive right now, especially in the reselling space. Like, I wouldn't advise most people to get into it now. Just the simple fact of the matter is there's me and there's a couple other groups that do things somewhat related to what I do out there. Like, this probably isn't the space to crack into. You're going to be spending an exorbitant amount of money if you actually want to have enough quality to compete. But the internet, like the online community space, like even like Hormozy popped on the scene with School, or rather School popped on with Hormozy, the other way around. Like, communities are still like a hot thing right now, and there's a reason people like them. I think that they're a little bit overblown, especially the School side of things or the model they're using that's not related to reselling. We can get into why I think a lot of communities fail in general, not just in the reselling space. But it's pretty much as easy as the formula. Show the success you and or the people you work with have, and then have some sort of lead funnel into where you can contact them or you can call to action them into some stage of your funnel or to upgrade. And like, you'll see some results if you have an audience or your content gets views.
John, you got anything?
Yeah, that was super interesting. Would you want to go more into that? Why you think the School model is kind of not as great as you think? If you're still listening to the podcast at this point, you are into it and a fan, and we really appreciate that. If you could do us a solid and like, subscribe, and do all that stuff, it really helps the podcast grow. And secondly, if you could tag us on Instagram, just take a picture of what part you are at the podcast. If you like it, tell us what you think about it. Tag me at Side Hustle Experiment, and I will definitely share it. Now let's get back to the podcast.
Yeah, so not School necessarily, but what I've seen a lot specifically on School, the way it gets marketed. No, like Hormozy, I think is like, dude, Hormozy's dope. Like, I love his content so much. Like, maybe if I could pick one business quote unquote guru to listen to their content, it'd probably still be him. One issue I see now that communities are like, courses are out, communities are in. Like, that's kind of the way that things are moving. I don't know if you guys have seen that. The problem with that, and the problem with a lot of communities nowadays, and like a lot of what's going on, and I reference School specifically because it's a little bit more info producty, a little bit more learning mastermindy than like what I do in Discord. Like, I'm pretty clear that even Divine is not super beginner friendly. Like, we have a lot of stuff in general. Like, if you want to start making money on Amazon or eBay, we can help you do that. We're still fairly transparent that we're better for maybe the more intermediate advanced sellers. We're a lot more of a suite of tools, if you will, than we are like learning ground or a course. So once you know what you're doing, come over here, you'll make a ton of money. We'll still help you. We're just going to have to put a little bit more of the work up front to like learn. Is not going to be as handheld as it is for like intermediate advanced people. All that's a preface to say, here's the big variable for why a lot of the stuff I think on School or communities aren't working or aren't going to be as cash flow positive as they would be in a course format. Is when you join Divine, and I'm just going to keep using it as an example, you're getting more value out of it month 7 than you are month 1. Like, there's a constant flow of here's how you can make money. Here's what's dropping today. Here's tools to use. Here's more information. Here's how to utilize this thing. The longer you're in there, the more valuable it is for you because you learn how to do it. There's a constant flow of ways to make money in there, etc. A lot of other places are simply courses packaged as communities. And so somebody joins a course that they might have paid $500 for. They might have paid $1,000 for, and now they can join this. Once again, I'll just keep using, like, no hate on School. It's more prevalent there than it is in the Discord world. I can now join the School community for $47 a month. Cool. I go through all the modules month 1. I ask some questions month 2. By month 3, I've kind of sucked all of the value there is to get out of it now, because this was just a course that got put into a community, and I paid $47 for 2 months, 3 months, when it could have just been a course that I paid $500 for. And like, as a creator, I'm now just, my LTV just plummeted because I heard communities are the waves and like monthly recurring revenue. Like, once I sold a course one time, it's over. But if it's monthly recurring, I get it every single month. But there's no like, it's less valuable month 7 than it is month 1. Whereas this was almost another reason, like you were asking, when I realized it was a viable model, as opposed to just saturation. The other thing is Amazon especially was a largely information-based like learning thing. Like, there are people in fantastic Amazon-related communities. Like, I'll call out the RA Playbook. It's run by Joe Hart. It's run by Zach Altmaier. I think Toy Fo, like, good amount of guys from Products for Profit run that now. It's sick. But like, they cap it at 100 members, I believe. Like, there's saturation resistant mechanisms in place. So that is like just the one downside of it, which my only criticism I have of it, which is legitimate and fair, and the reason they capped it is it doesn't scale super well. Whereas a lot of information-based Amazon stuff, you can scale it infinitely because it's information, but why would somebody be in there after 5 months? They kind of got everything there is to get out of it. Like maybe there's some Amazon updates here or there, but you can find out about it on Twitter, you can find out about it on YouTube, and it's the same thing for everything else. Like a real estate investing community, like unless you're just there to get value out of like, hey, I found this deal, can someone give input on it? You're pretty much just joining to like learn how to invest in real estate. You go through the modules, and by month 1 or 2, you've gotten all there is to get out of it. And the creator of it could have charged a whole lot more in the form of a course, and instead they did a community because they heard that communities are the wave and they want monthly recurring revenue and all that. So to distill into a thought, I don't say not a fan of it. I just think that a lot of communities nowadays are really just online courses that got repurposed as a community, and the creators probably would have made a lot more money keeping them a course, but communities are sexy right now, and also courses have a bit of a stigma about them. Like I'm not a course seller, and so like things like that.
Yeah, I think people don't understand when you're doing MRR, like you have to have novelty. Like that's what you're saying, right? It's like you can't just have the same thing because why would they stick around? Like if they're already done, they need that novel things constantly. Yeah, and you're exactly right, man. That's like such a good analysis of that. And I think my problem with school, and me and John have talked about this in the past, I think where they run into a big issue is you only have so much bandwidth of like stuff that you're doing. So like Discord, you have that on your phone, you have that on your computer. It's a part of your life. Instagram, you probably have that on your phone. Maybe you check that on your computer or whatever. You have Twitter. You have like certain platforms, YouTube. But to add another whole platform in there, like you have to go and take away from your time to be there, it just doesn't make any sense. Like I'm in a group that's, whatever dollars a month on school, I forget to check it. Although it's the best group I'm in of anything. It's just like, I forget that I even have school. It's not like very accessible. I'm not checking my school updates on my phone. So I think when you try to like put another platform into somebody's daily life, really, really difficult. And you got to get big to do that. And Discord's like already really big. What do you think about that? You think I'm onto something there? Or do you think that they might actually, be a Discord, be a Telegram or whatever?
No, I agree. So this is not super well known. I've talked about this a little bit. I don't shy away from it a ton. I do consulting, and I guess you call it growth operating too, is a version of it, with creators in this space. Now, I'm not like, if you look at the front page of, I'll keep referencing WAP because of the marketplace. If you look at the reselling groups, like I'm not any of those. Like I run Divine, but like I own percentages of sports betting groups, of some other groups, things like that, like the Discord world, the paid community world. Like I was a full-time reseller at one point. I could probably go back to and do it again. Maybe not as successfully as I did back then because I am rustier. But like I know low ticket communities. I understand paid communities at a very high level, I think would be just fair to say. And so I get brought on from a lot of creators, some of which have fairly large platforms on social media, and they have offers and they want to learn how to structure them. And then I take a percentage to run those. And so part of that, the calculus that goes in there when we're deciding those is like the big variable is where is your audience currently. So like right now there's one offer I run that's like, once again, I can't name names, transparently brings in more money than Divine does. Like it's just in a different niche. It's massive, lots of creators, marketing behind it. We're on Telegram, which I think is terrible. I think Telegram is just actively not a good platform for most online communities. Compared to I think Discord's a great one. I think Slack's a good one. We use WAP's integrated thing for some things. Like they have their own platform on the back end. I think Telegram, there's rarely a good use case for it, but this is where a lot of the industry is. And so you can grow and offer better. And by extension, like people will have a better experience. Like people using a platform that we think is subpar, but they're comfortable with and know how to navigate will result in a better member experience than us saying, no, guys, like this is better. Like just you'll get it eventually. They're like, no, we won't. We're going to join somewhere that's on this thing that we like. And so I think Telegram's kind of a not great platform for most online communities, but we still host there because that's where a lot of the industry is. And so I think if you're just building in a vacuum, there's merit to a bunch of different platforms. We're partial to Discord, frankly. Like that's what I know. That's what I understand. I think it has the most functionality. There's offers that we do off Discord, not because we think they're better than Discord, but because that's where the industry is. That's where the members are. And ultimately, like if you're a community, your obligation is to your members. And so it's not forcing this thing they don't want on them. It's doing the best with what they tell you that they want. And so that's how we tend to go about thinking of it. So yeah, I think Discord is honestly the best in a vacuum. But we don't build everything on Discord. We build where the members in the industry is.
What about affiliate stuff? You thought about doing like the Tate style, like give people affiliates of like, if you you make. Well, I guess you guys already have that, but you don't. It doesn't seem that you push it too much, right? Or maybe that is. Maybe a ton of your traffic.
Yeah, so we have it doesn't account for a ton of ours. Anybody who's a member of Divine gets 30% recurring every single month for everyone they refer. We're $70 a month, so that means everyone who signs up, you get $21. Then the next month if they renew, another 21. The next month they renew, 21, so on and so forth. We've looked into the Andrew Tate style of like clip our content. We're super down for it. We're super into it. The issue is like it's tough to do that on a branded side. Like it's only going to blow up if there's a person behind it. And frankly, none of us between myself and the partners like have enough content out there to do that with, especially not enough like divisive content, if that makes sense. Yeah. Like part of the reason Tate was able, like Tate was originally like us to a degree. Like he just ran a like help you make money online community and he just blew up into the stratosphere. But like 5 years ago, there wasn't a functional difference between, you know, myself, my partners and what Tate does. Part of the way he was able to blow up was just by saying super out of pocket, maybe offensive, maybe funny. We can get into that, like things on the internet. And so like they're very clippable, very viral. We don't have enough content, period, but also we don't have enough content like that. We'd love to have, you know, a bigger library so that people could do that. I'm not sure if we have enough that would be just viral 30 to 45 second clips, admittedly. Like a lot more of the content is like podcasts going on here. This is also cool and fun because normally when people bring on, they want to talk reselling, which obviously I'm, you know, capable of doing, did it, you know, for still do it, but like did it at a higher level, long time and still know the industry well. This is a little bit, you know, newer where not as many people want to talk the Discord business side of things. But there's not like a central theme to a lot of the content we put out or like the clips like this, because somebody might hear me talk about flipping Legos once and then they'll hear me talk about why I think certain platforms are better than School or Telegram or stuff for that. And so there's just not enough content that's like has a central theme to it for anyone to be able to do that yet. So we'd love to, it's just not something that's feasible for us yet.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think where Tate helped is he like got ahead of the problem. Like you're not getting chicks, you're like a loser because you don't have money. So then they're like, oh, this is the way I make money. When like you're more of just like, here's how you make money. So you're not at the bottom of the problem. So it's tough. Like if you get clipped up saying something awesome about reselling, still 99% of people have no clue what you're talking about. Where if you start talking about chicks or you start talking about, you know, you're weak and stuff, then it's like, okay, 100% of people know about that. Yeah, I get that. I guess there's no, you'd have to put a lot of personal stuff on the line for something like that to happen too.
Exactly. And I don't even, I don't even mind being like personal or like transparent, like what do you want to call it? I think there's like, I actually had a really good conversation a while back with, it's Toyfolio, I think Greg, if you guys follow him at all, that's his Twitter. Super fantastic guy. Like everyone from the old Products for Profit squad, like nobody can ever say a bad word about them. Joe Hart, anything like those guys changed my life. Legitimately. But I remember having a conversation with him even like amidst a bunch of Twitter stuff. And it got me to both delete a couple things as well as rethink things I said. He's like, dude, like my kids one day might be able to look up anything I've said online. I don't want to put anything out there that I feel weird explaining to them. And that's to an extent maybe stifled my growth a little bit. Like I said, like I'll troll some people on Twitter, but there's some stuff I've either deleted or haven't said that I think would have gotten engagement and been like funny. Where it's just like, cool, like there might be a world where one day it's, kids, parents, in-laws, any of that can just like see that this is the way even I interacted with somebody online. It's like, cool, this might be a degree to which growth at Divine is stifled. But I'd rather optimize for Casey Woodard and associated parties in real life than Divine, bottom line. So that's a conscious decision kind of myself and some partners have made as well, where it's, we could just start being super out of pocket. We know it gets engagement. But at the end of the day, we're doing fine. I think we're on the right path and things are growing well, and I'm good to sacrifice growth for reputation to a degree. And I still have fun with it too. So it's like, it's not like I'm, whitewashed online either.
Yeah. Well, dude, I thought about it while you were saying that. One thing I remember, I had a negative connotation to you originally. And why do you know why I thought that? The first time
the girl,
dude, I thought that was so misleading. I was like, this is wrong.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah. So I get your motivation behind it. I remember that was the original reason I was like, dude, that's kind of like, whatever. Now you have such a good product, so it's whatever, but it's also like an ends to the means type thing, right? That's a little bit the issue with it.
So people background what we're
I thought so. So I haven't done this in 2.5 years now because it blew up so much the first time, and I realized, like, especially Divine, I realized like, cool, this is no longer a joke to people. They now think it's like misleading. So the way it started was back in 2021. I was bored sitting in traffic in October. And I was literally just like, 20 likes and I'll change my, like, just sitting in traffic. I was like, if this tweet gets 20 likes, I'll change my profile picture on Twitter to a cute girl and I'll just tweet all the same stuff I tweeted last month. Got a bunch of tweets. And so a lot of people were in on it. A lot of people weren't. So I paid for an Adobe stock image. Nobody tried to dig this up. I paid for the license. And so did that of like just some cute girl. Like it was like literally I think I tweeted like cute but approachable. So like it wasn't even so hot people would like think I was catfishing or whatever. And literally I just tweeted all the same stuff I tweeted in September and November and my engagement tripled. And I was like, haha, like this was kind of fun. Like I got like some haters online, but like most people, I was small enough. I had a couple thousand followers. Most people were in on the joke and they just thought it was funny. So then I was like, cool, this might just be my November thing. I do it again in 2022. I like even quote tweeted in October. I was like 20 likes and I'll do it again this year. Same thing. People were like, LOL, do it. Day one, I have to this date my most viral tweet ever. Like millions and millions of impressions. Somebody was sending me stuff on TikTok of like my tweet going on like motivational pages and getting like 10 million views in 24 hours. I even forget what it was. Like it was some like it felt like a throwaway tweet. It was something I tweeted before as a guy and it didn't go viral. And it just popped off and I was like, yo, what the? And then every day since, I think I was averaging maybe 3 million monthly impressions before. And then this month I hit 12 million monthly impressions in November. Just same exact, I almost tweeted no original content. It was pretty much just everything I tweeted September of 2022, but I tweeted it with a new profile picture. That's the nice thing about being named Casey. I didn't even have to change my name. And so like tweeting the same exact stuff. And I went from 3 million monthly impressions to 12 million. A bunch more people joined the Discord as well. The downside of that was, and then like in December I did like a tell-all, like, and I was purposely inflammatory about it. Like I pretended to be a woman on the internet for 30 days and an extra 10 grand or whatever from it. The downside, even though I was being, once again, I tweeted this out in October. Like I think that's the one thing I got a lot of hate for is like, this is the guy who like pretended to be a women to get money is like, sort of, but also like I told everybody what was happening. This originally just started as like a dumb joke and like, whoa, this popped off, is that it now became a like this guy was catfishing on the internet for money. Like this is one of his marketing strategies. I'm like, cool, I can never run this back anymore. Because the first time I did it, it was like this funny thing where like I'd get some comments and then like a bunch of my followers would like almost be trolling the comment people. They were like play along with it or they were in on the joke. And then like it popped my engagement off so much that like the ratio of people who were in on it to not in on it was too high that it was like, okay, I just can't do this anymore. And so, yeah, I still like, even to this day, I'll get like comment, like if somebody like tweets something, like some random hate comment, or somebody's like, is this the dude who pretended to be a girl? Like whatever. I'm like, yeah, like, I guess it was like, I was numerous occasions was very clear this is what was happening. Like it was a joke. But yeah, it just almost went way too big for me to ever do it again. But yeah, I realized like that was a lot of people's first impressions of me. It's literally just me bored in traffic being like, LOL, like I wonder if I get more engagement if I was a girl. Let's find out. And then like, yeah, I did. I really, really did.
I guess it's a good marketing strategy. I mean, now that I'm thinking about it, I guess you could make like 15 of those accounts and just like run all the traffic to the group. Maybe that's what you're doing.
Dude, there was a hot moment too. The second time I did it, there were like 50, like I'm not going to name names because there were others in the space who started doing that as well. Like I was just the first to do it. Mine popped off way bigger because I did it. But like people started doing that for like a hot month until I'm like, all right, like this has gotten a little too out of hand. I don't want to be associated. I don't want to be associated with a headline related to it. Like if somebody, like I'd have zero problem, like even the story I told, like I think it's hilarious. Most people did too. Like I brought up with Miles and Warner, they wanted to talk about it on the podcast. They thought it was funny. And so if everybody knew all of the context, I have zero issues with anybody anywhere at any time knowing it. But I was like, cool, this is not the headline I need anymore. So we're not going to do this. I thought I'd do it every November just as a joke. And then like it went too well.
Yeah, makes sense.
What did you learn from that, doing that? Any like marketing takeaways or like?
Nah, dude, just be a cute girl. No marketing takeaways for me. Like I've said this before, I've tweeted as much as well. Like if I wanted to make a bag online in a like, non-salacious way, if you will, I would just, and I was a girl, I would just be recording content in a male dominated space. I would be doing, reselling, sports betting, trading. A lot of the Discord related stuff right now is significantly male dominated. I'd be doing stuff like that. Like girls have already taken to it now, like Twitch streaming video games, like stuff like that. Like, it's not suggestive, but it is in a way just because it's some hot girl doing this thing that mostly only guys do. But that's probably like how I'd, if you're comfortable with maybe the intentions behind it, even if you're not doing anything wrong per se, there's an extent to maybe you know what you're doing if you want to say. So you'd have to walk the line, but it's literally just like if you're an attractive girl and you don't want, you want to make money online in a way that's filled with integrity, or however you want to phrase it. You guys know what I'm saying. Like, just do the things in male dominated spaces. Like, even like card, what are they, like box breaks in like the sports card world? Like, tons of content right there. Like, you just get a cute girl doing that. It's going to drive up engagement because this is a 90-10 male female dominated audience. Everybody making content in this space is a guy. If you just have a cute girl doing the things and making the content that guys have been making, you are just going to get more views. And so I think you can build like a solid business on the back of that, frankly, if you can execute at the same level. Or like, I know people who even like what I do with like the growth operating thing, they partner with creators with audiences to launch offers. They fill on the back end. Like, I run the communities for some people who have like large audiences online. And I know people in the space who have like, not only it's a cute girl who does the offer, but like it's an offer in like a woman dominated space. You might, feel free to draw correlations if you know, like, you might be able to even infer who this is. But like, there's somebody who runs like this offers only for women, and like things like that. And like, that's her brand. And the person running the back end's a guy. And like, that's just a very viable business model, is just partner with people who are going to get eyeballs to create a product and fulfill it on the back end. So I don't know if there's anything that I can personally do. Like, I haven't gone to the lengths of finding just some random hot girl to like be in all of the Divine videos. That's just not the move that we've thought. But like, if that's you, then like, go ahead and start marketing like a heavily like, where are you going to get more traction? Making makeup videos on YouTube or talking about, sports betting?
Yeah. And the final frontier is you just have to trans to get that 9-figure exit.
That might have to be, if we need to go to 9 figures, that might have to be the move. It's a business expense.
Exactly. Oh, dude. Yeah, that's good. That's your clippable content. Yeah. So, John, you got anything final? I have one final questions, but I'll let you get whatever else.
Yeah, what does your kind of day-to-day look like? It seems like you got a lot going on.
Oh, it's a nightmare in the best way. Yeah, every day is very different. If anyone's watching this right now and lives in Austin, Texas, I'm actively hiring. It's in person. I'll be here just in the house. But yeah, there's a ton going on. We're scaling some other offers. Obviously, Divine takes up the vast majority of my day, and a lot of it is content, overseeing the team, making sure that everything is kind of going smooth. Right now, we're in a big like systems and like development stuff. So like I said, I have a ton of ideas, and we're just getting a little bit hamstrung in terms of our current processes, software use, etc. And I'm just trying to figure workarounds for that. But every single day is significantly different, but it's just me with an internet connection, basically. And so I don't have a routine almost at all, like to a fault, but it's just whatever the day requires. And so that's to an extent why I'm trying to hire someone else here. And just no one I've hired remotely, I don't want to say it hasn't worked out, but like, it would just be so much easier if I could do it here in person in Austin, Texas. But it's just handling whatever comes up in Divine or in any project that I'm working on right now. And so one bottleneck I'm trying to break past is like split focus. It's very difficult for me to get like 3 hours just working on one thing, because the nature of a community means it's fast moving. There's messages, people need your attention. But it's literally just me on Discord, man. Like, it's just me on Discord or whatever platform stuff's going on. Even all the inner team communication takes place on Discord as well. So it's very rare that I'm like texting my partners or something like that. Like, if we have to talk to someone on our staff, it's in Discord. So it's whether it's me at my desk right here or at a cafe, even like on my phone, it's just me in Discord all day. And every now and then I'll tweet an intrusive thought.
Nice. One final thing. I just joined the group, so I want to make anywhere from like $1,000, $2,000 or whatever. But I don't want to work super hard to do this. I am transparently very lazy, but I do know the skills. I was a big Amazon seller. Before I had the same start as you, I did sneakers. I understood all that stuff. I made a ton of money on PlayStation 5. Sold like 200 of those things in 2020. So I understand the whole model of it. What would you recommend is the best thing to do to resell off the? You guys have the daily reminders of is that the best, or what do you recommend? The laziest way for me to make money, because I'm sure there's a people.
For sure, yeah. So this is once again, if you haven't picked up my contacts, like I said, I run the best-selling reselling community. So if you're in there, this will make sense. If not, feel free to pay $1 to get in there for 5 days. Like I said, there's the reason we charge the $1. But every single day we post a morning rundown in the like daily reminder section. That's letting you know all the action that's planned for the day. Obviously, there's a bunch of things like PlayStations that might restock at any given time. If you want the lowest effort setup to still like make a good amount of money, it's to hawk the 4 important channels, and like they're titled Divine Important. And that's online important, which is any flip that's like important. It's an absolute banger. You can make a lot of money off of it. In-store important, which is the same thing, except for it's in stores. And if you don't plan on going in stores, mute that one. deals important, which is when there's, some people call them glitches or price errors or freebies, things like that, where it's just some insane markdowns. And then another one's member important, which is the first three are our staff posting really good flips. We have one for, we have thousands and thousands of paying members in the community. There's a good chance some of them are going to know about stuff before we do. And so we have a venue for them to post leads. Those are the 4 channels to be hawking. And then once again, if you don't even want in store, then mute that one, and just have reminders set on that, and you can mute everything else. And once again, you're going to miss out on a good amount of stuff, obviously, but still, if you just want like the low effort, lazy setup where it's cool, I'm not going to be in here every day, it's just when I see an alert on my phone, I want it to matter. Those are the 3 channels. You'll still make money every single month if you actually do what they say. And then from there, you can then whittle down, or not whittle down, but rather curate higher if there's certain things you care about. So like we said, we have sports cards, or not even just sports cards. We have Pokemon in there. So collectible cards, we have comic book category, we have ticket flipping, we have Legos, we have an entire server dedicated just to sneakers. So you can go in and curate from there. But yeah, the big thing is going to be like, if you just want the lowest effort, like I don't want to get notified from Divine at all, unless it's just, all right, this pops up on my phone. I make very clearly solid money if I get on this. Online important, in-store important, deals important, member important. Only 4 channels you need if you want to have the lazy setup. And then you can go in and fine tune from there. Go play around with the server, see what else is interesting. We posted a big ticket drop today for ticket flipping. But you'll get like 70% of the way there with 5% of the effort with just those 4 channels.
Sweet. That's what I've been doing anyway. So gladly I'm on the right path. But yeah. Anything else, John?
Beautiful.
I don't think so. You have any last parting words for the people?
No, just I'd say the big thing, because I'm guessing correct me if I'm wrong, like if you were to attribute most of your views, are they from Instagram, they from Twitter? Like where are you guys normally driving traffic to the podcast from?
Probably Instagram, YouTube.
Yeah, Instagram.
Yes.
Cool. I think, we talked about what members succeed and what don't. I'll extrapolate this, not even related to Divine. I think the best advice I have for anyone in the make money online space is if someone follows us, they saw something related to making money online, presumably. And a lot of them, especially like reselling or side hustles, it's like they might be on their early stages of it as well. So they're trying to figure out what works, what doesn't. I'd say just pick something and stick with it. So if that's reselling and you either want to get into it, working with Drew or John, or you want to join Divine, just like commit to making it work. If it's something else you're currently working on, don't get distracted with reselling, whatever it is. I think one of the best things I did starting off, and I probably need to relearn it now that I have my hands in more cookie jars, is like, I just committed to making this work. And so at first it was reselling. I committed to make it work, was able to go full time with it. And then Discord, same thing. I committed to making it work. I think there's, like I said, the reason we do the $1 for 5 days thing is because people have no commitment. They're going in there like, maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. And like, if you decide to make it work, it's probably going to work. Like you can do anything, but you can't do everything is what they say. And so just like pick something and just stick with it, because there's no point in hopping from thing to thing. I think a lot of people, talk about side hustles and things like that, are bouncing from thing to thing, and no harm in kind of bopping around, seeing what you like, what you don't like. But once you find something you think has merit, then just like do that thing.
Great advice.
Sweet. All right, we'll end it there. Where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter or Instagram at @TheCaseyWoodard. So same handle at both of them. Feel free to drop me a DM if you have any questions. You can find me Twitter and Instagram are the 2 places at @TheCaseyWoodard.
Sweet. Well, thanks for doing this, and we'll see you guys on the next episode.
Peace.
Absolutely. Appreciate you guys.
Peace.